The power of the internet brings us back together yet once again, people. It is EC Radio time. I hope you're enjoying your Tuesday. You can follow along on all Disruption Network social media platforms. Follow along on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. We're pretty much everywhere. Before we get anything, much love to my sponsors. Got to give love to Eddie Alsheimer and his crew over at EJA Moving Services, the professional movers. When you're ready to move and relocate, hit up Eddie at 315-335-0516, home of the free boxes. When you're ready to move and relocate, Eddie will give you the boxes for free, people. You understand that? Free. F-R-E-E, which is my second favorite F word. Did you know that? It's my second favorite F word. You know what my first favorite F word is? Focaccia. Anyways, EJAmoving.com. You can find them online. Tell them Uncle Z sent you. Also, a shout out to my attorney, Dave Longaretta. If you need legal advice, give him a call today at 315-735-6162. Thank you to Utica Coffee, Saranac Brewery, and shout out to my good friend over at Joey's at 307. You want a good meal? Go visit my good friend Matt Grabsky and get yourself a good meal from Joey's. They got a revolving dinner menu. There's always some seafood specials. They got great lunch specials. And Matt's just an all-around good dude. Tell him Uncle Z sent you. Joining me today, we're talking all things Adirondack Railroad. Choo-choo. Get on board, baby. I love it. I love it. Joining me today, Justin Gagno and Mr. Vince Sperazza, my former science teacher. We won't get into that today, though. But it's great to see you. I love when you come in, Vin. It's great to see you. How you doing?
Good. Thanks, Z. Thanks for having us.
Justin, you're the new guy over there, kind of, in a way. I know you started a couple years ago, but unfortunately the pandemic hit and there was really no events going on. So how has it been for you to adjust to the new executive director role over at the Adirondack Railroad?
It's been excellent. I mean, it's a property that definitely has a tremendous amount going for it, a lot of potential. We have some really exciting projects that we have in the works that we're here to discuss today. So it's been great.
Awesome.
Little bumpy road, obviously, with the pandemic, but I don't think that's unique to anybody. So
yeah. Were you able to take a car ride out? It's probably expensive to run a train, huh? Like, what does it cost for one ride up to, say, Thundera? What's it cost just the cart alone, no people on it, no nothing.
Just to move the train from here to Thundera's, in the several $1,000 range.
It's crazy.
Couldn't pin an exact number on it right now, but it's not cheap. No, it's not like getting in your car and going to the gas station.
Right. So what goes into those expenses?
Well, I mean, there's the operating expenses themselves of all the above-the-rail costs, and then you have the below-the-rail costs. So you have the below-the-rail costs are actually maintaining the tracks and all the infrastructure, and then the above-the-rail costs are what it takes to actually move the train, and there's mechanical expenses involved in that, fuel expenses, and then, of course, crew. And I mean, you could keep going from there, having overhead costs with administration fees and ticketing, and I mean, the list goes on. So it's not a cheap industry to be in, but it's a worthwhile experience for the passenger.
Yeah, I think it's important for people to know exactly like how much it costs and why you guys charge for tickets and all that, because there's expenses that go into these things pretty much in whatever you do. Mm-hmm. And being on the railroad industry, it's pretty expensive, that's for sure. Justin, what's your background in the whole railroad industry?
I've been in the railroad industry pretty much my entire life.
Have you really?
Yeah, it's fourth generation in my family. My great-grandfather, George Gagno, started it out, and then my grandfather, my father, and then myself. And it was always on with a railroad called the Delaware and Hudson, which was purchased by Canadian Pacific in the early 90s. And I always like to throw this in. Before I left Canadian Pacific, I was actually my father's boss. So we had a lot of fun with that. But no, I've in some manner, shape, or form, I've been in this my entire life. Professionally, though, I've been in it 13 years.
So is it safe to say this is a dream job?
It's the family tradition, let's put it that way.
I gotcha.
It's like the family farm for me.
So you grew up on a train pretty much.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And Vin, how long you're more of a volunteer over there, right? Or do you have a full-time role over there?
Right. I'm a volunteer. Mm-hmm. I started volunteering as a car host back in 2012, and my role evolved to a certain point, and then in 18, I was asked to take a seat on the board of directors, and that's what I'm doing now. And again, it's volunteer work, but it's busy. I was recently appointed head of the marketing committee, So that's part of what brings me here.
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, and you're the one that set this all up, so thank you for bringing this in. Now, I know you guys got a couple events going on rather soon, right? You know, plus you got a GoFundMe page. First of all, let's talk about the GoFundMe page and raising funds for the railroad and all that. Talk about that a little bit.
Okay. Well, we have a GoFundMe page. It's active right now, and the intent behind the use of the funds is going towards the purchase of a new locomotive for our extended service up to Tupper Lake. This I don't want to get too heavy in specifics, though, but this locomotive that we're looking to purchase is what I would like to consider. It's the last of the old school locomotives.
Okay.
It is a design that's hinged upon the American Locomotive Company, which was based in several different areas in the United States, most prominently Schenectady, New York. Their Canadian subsidiary actually built it. But it's the same flavor as other locomotives that we have in our fleet, but it's got a lot of modern advancements, and it's certainly going to be a nice enhancement for us to be able to facilitate that new service.
How does one buy a train? Right? You know?
Well, I mean, it's not as easy as going out and buying a new car, but there are brokers out there, just as there are with
Is there like a train lot you could go visit?
There essentially is. Yes,
yeah?
you can go and purchase it just
train
as though you would
superstore?
a new car, used car.
Yeah.
Have you been to these dealerships before?
Dealerships, yes.
You know, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I
That's
mean,
got to be fun, though. You get to kind of journey on these trains and check them out.
Yeah. You see all manner, shapes, and forms of industrial transit machines. So, yep.
Interesting. I'd love to check that out sometime. And I imagine there's a train graveyard as well.
There are.
Yeah? And,
yeah.
and where can you find one of those? That would be something I would like to explore.
Scattered all over the country. I don't know as though there's a formal one. I've never seen any headstones, but but there's examples of old rail equipment all over the place.
Yeah.
So.
Is there one locally we can go examine? Or?
Nothing I would promote.
No? Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep.
You know, the big thing about the GoFundMe and so on is that in order to haul things up to Tupper, in order to have cars up to Tupper, we still have to have the locomotives to do the work that's necessary for the regular runs that we're going to be running still, the ones to Thendera, the Leaf Peeper, and so on. And then we're going to have these extended ones going up to Tupper. So we really need a locomotive for that. And sometimes people say, well, geez, isn't there a state grant covering this to go to Tupper? Well, the state grant covers the construction of, or the actual, not construction, but rehab of the rails. But it doesn't cover any equipment. So we have to get that on our own, and that's the reason for the GoFundMe. And if people are interested in contributing to this, if you go on our website, which is AdirondackRR.com, you can find it there. And also on the Instagram, there is a direct link as well. So on both of those social media pages, you can find the links.
You guys have been known to throw some great events throughout the years too. You just hop on a train, such as the leaf peeping thing is a thing. Where the Loomis Gang train, that was a thing at one time, right?
Yep, the train robberies up in Thendera. I think probably the best well known in the Utica area is our beer and wine trains.
The beer and wine train,
right.
Yeah.
The
The Polar Express is another one.
Oh yeah, the Polar Express certainly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Are your phones ringing right now? People inquiring if you're going to up and rolling this year? Or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Our call center is open in Utica, and we are fielding lots of calls inquiring when we're going to be open for regular service, and as well as sales for our rail bikes. But we're keeping an eye on everything as the restrictions seem to be lifting up, and we'll make plans accordingly. So keep calling.
Excellent. Talk about the rail bikes. Those seem really cool, and it's something fairly new, right? The rail bikes, right? Didn't you implement them a couple of years ago?
Yeah, they were first implemented in their current phase in 2018.
2018, right?
Yeah.
But they were only 1 month, I think, we operated in 2018 with the rail bikes. We operated them in 2019. And then last year we started to actually really beef up the program. And this year we've really beefed up the program, more than doubled the amount of bikes that we have available for sale. And yeah, everything's going very well. They're very well received. And, this is... It's not just an experience or an activity to go and do. It is exercise. It really is becoming across the country kind of more and more of a sport. So if you're into cycling or outdoor activities, I kind of equate it to a paddle boat in terms of the resistance and the type of exercise that you would get from these things. But it really is a unique experience. I mean, who's ever seen a rail bike?
Right. And how far can you take these rail bikes?
It's approximately 7 miles round trip.
So there's like a turnaround?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. We turn the bike around for you. You don't have to do anything in that regard. You just sit down, pedal, and enjoy yourself.
And where's the route? Where does it take you to?
So Thundera Station, which is Old Forge, New York, we go approximately 3.5 miles north out of there. Then at that spot, we turn the bikes around and you come right back. It departs from and comes back to right at the station.
And it's got to be gorgeous.
It is. Yeah.
Especially during
the
fall.
Adirondacks.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
I want to try that. So how much to rent a rail bike?
So one rail bike is $147, and you can put 4 people on it.
Oh, wow. And everybody's pedaling at the same time?
Well, I suppose if you have some more I don't know.
Well, senior citizens.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've heard from people that were on with their parents or grandparents, and they had a hard time pedaling, and the young folks did all the work. And they worked a bit hard, but, and sometimes people take younger kids on, like 5- and 6-year-olds. They have to be strapped in, of course. They have to be able to get the seatbelt and so on. But, they can't reach those pedals. And the parents pedal, and it's not bad.
Yeah, and the chains are attached to a freewheel, so if you wanted to stop pedaling and just take a break for a minute, you can do that.
Just cruise?
Yep.
Oh, cool. And like you said, it's great exercise, too.
Yes, it is.
You could probably burn a lot of calories doing that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. But it's done so at a leisurely pace. So.
Yeah, right. Go at your leisure. What a great Sunday afternoon thing to do, right?
Oh.
Perfect. And can you rent a bike on a Sunday afternoon?
Yes, you can.
Beautiful. Perfect.
Several times on a Sunday afternoon, actually.
I imagine that's a hot day for you. Like, popular.
Oh, yes. Yep.
And one of the other things is it takes you places where you wouldn't see otherwise, except from the rails. You're not close to roads. You're not close to a lot of buildings.
Right.
You go through areas that are pretty remote, actually.
Yeah. Right in the heart of the Adirondacks. I love it. Shout out to everybody that's watching on Facebook. If you are watching on Facebook, please do us a favor and click the share button and help spread the word of the Adirondack Railroad. Big ups to our boys from Motorlord and Tommy Borgia. Also, shout out to everybody out there in Twitch. D-Doy2169, thank you for checking in. And thanks to everybody. If you could just share this, it would be greatly appreciated. Let's talk about some of the events you guys got coming up. Very popular events like Polar Express. I know you guys plan on doing that coming in the winter, but let's not look that far ahead because we just got out of winter. Okay? Let's talk about some of the things that you got coming up pretty soon.
All right. Well, I mean, obviously, just as with anyone else out there, we're following the lifting of the restrictions in New York State for COVID, and we'll adjust our business models accordingly. But right now, any planning, outside of fall foliage and Polar Express, things like that, we're proceeding cautiously. Obviously, everything looks good. The vaccinations are out there, and restrictions are being lifted. So we're modeling ourselves accordingly. So. We'll open up when it makes sense and when it's safe to do so.
Yeah. The other thing I love about the Adirondack Railroad is you open the doors to a lot of the local musicians. And there's always like a music cart going on. Do you guys plan on doing, involving some of the local musicians this coming year?
Yeah, I mean, to the extent that we're able to. I mean, we would love to be able to just turn all of our services back on, but we have to do it in a responsible manner and consistent with guidelines. So, once we're able to bring all that stuff back, we're going to welcome all of our old friends, all of our musician friends, and come and join us, and we'll be happy when we can start turning wheels again.
Did you ever hear of the Mechanics?
That's a defunct band. That doesn't exist anymore.
It doesn't.
Some of us aged out.
Vin, you were talking about being a greeter on there. What does a greeter do? Take me through that process.
I was a car host when I first started. And a car host does things like, you kind of stand there and guide people when they're getting on the train, make sure that remind them to grab hold of the handrails when they go up the stairs, and, okay, there's vacant seats to your right or there's vacant seats to your left. So that's the boarding part. And once everybody's on there, you go up and down, you answer questions, you kind of interact and make it a more personal experience. And that's a real nice way to get involved in the railroad, and we're always looking for volunteers. If people are interested in volunteering, especially like car host is a good place to start, but also we need people, even with the rail bikes, we have staff working the rail bikes, of course, but we still need rail bike assistance, which is good for volunteers. And then we even have some volunteers that help out with some of the not mechanical work on the locomotives, but mechanical work around the station and fixing up. And even next week, I think they've got volunteers going up just to fix up the grounds around the Thandera station. So there's lots of volunteer positions available. And if you go to the website, AdirondackRR.com, and click on the volunteer link across the top, you'll find the volunteer roles and also volunteer application forms, and people can look at that and get involved in that way.
Cool, excellent. I know before we started this podcast, you had mentioned that there's going to be like 80,000 new railroad ties going up to Tupper Lake. Is that what you said? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, and it's a timely question because the work actually started today.
Oh.
Or resumed today, I should say.
Okay.
But yeah, the track from a point called a lovely town called Big Moose, New York, from there all the way up through to Tupper Lake, again, as you already mentioned, cutting through some of the most desolate regions of the Adirondacks, places you can only see by rail. But it's a total rehab of about 43 miles of track.
You might see Bigfoot.
You might see Bigfoot.
You might.
Yeah,
There's a possibility.
But yeah, it's 56,000 tons of ballast, which is the rocks that are underneath the track. It's 84,000 ties or something like that. It's a pretty extensive project. So yeah, that's all taking place as of today.
When do they expect that to be done?
Completion date is November 14th of this year.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of work. 43 miles. Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
Good summer project, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so once that's up and rolling, now trains are they rolling up to Tupper Lake right now?
No.
Just no until that's completed. Then that's when they're gonna.
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay. I didn't know if they were using old tracks or whatnot.
No, there hasn't been a revenue passenger train in Tupper Lake since 1981, maybe.
Wow.
81, 82, something like that.
It will resume. We're hoping in 22 to run passenger trains up to Tupper. As the work is progressing, this is an interesting thing that I just learned last year, is that the work, and when you think about it, of course, they're not going to drive trucks into those places because there's not roads. So the way that the ties and the ballast and all this and the people and the rails and everything gets in is all on cars, on train cars.
Wow.
So we have what are called work trains to get that stuff to the construction sites. So, because there's no other way of doing it.
Yeah, it's not easy. That's for sure. It seems like a lot of work.
Yeah.
And of course, most of us can't get up there and see it, but I've seen pictures of these huge stacks of ties. And it's like, yeah, that's a lot of rail ties.
Mm-hmm.
And because the historic nature of the track, they all have to be wood ties.
Okay.
Because some places, if you ride Amtrak enough, and especially when you get down toward Metro New York, you can actually look out and see concrete ties. But up for us, concrete ties aren't even an option. They need to be wood ties because it's got to be historic.
Oh, okay. So there's some hoops that you have to jump through
Oh,
the Historic Society.
well, it's a historic railroad.
Okay.
That's part of our mission is the history and maintaining that. And the two pieces of rolling stock, the 2 cars that we acquired last year, will make really a huge historic portion of our rail work. We have a what's the date on the dome car?
I think it's 56.
Yeah, that's it. 1956 dome car that we purchased with a grant, and the grant included a rehab of the car itself. So this dome car is now restored to basically 1956 specs inside.
Wow.
When you look at the tables and the seating and the carpeting and the windows and everything, it looks like a 1956 dome car as if it was new. It's really amazing.
Right down to that new car smell.
Yeah.
So it smells like 1956 in there?
Yeah. and it's one of 8 or 9 dome cars that are still around
Wow.
in the nation. It used to be every railroad had dome cars.
Yeah.
And you can look on historic photos and see dome cars through the Rockies and dome cars here and there. And this is one of the few remaining ones. And in 22, you'll be able to take a dome car ride up to the Tupper Lake.
First time ever, actually.
And not only a dome car, but you can have a real nice meal besides, because we have an Amtrak dining car that was decommissioned in 17 or something like that, Justin?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then that was donated to us by Amtrak. And it basically needed cleaning and a little bit of work on the underside. And what was it, brake work? And
No, it's mostly cosmetic, actually, just cleaning and getting it prepped for service again.
So is there like a full kitchen in there?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
it's exactly like the dining car that, for example, in like 2014, Karen and I took a Amtrak from Utica to Chicago and back, and it's like the dining car that we had breakfast in on that ride.
Oh, wow.
It's the same thing. It's amazing.
Yeah. Going back to the dome car, though, that's got to be like a nice little time capsule, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've talked to young people, for example, people that work with the company that does our advertising for us, and at first they were like, "What's a dome car?"
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, you see, it's a regular train car, and then it's got this dome, so you're up on the second floor, and you sit at tables, and you can look out these curved glass windows in all directions, and gives you a real unique view. And people are like, "Wow, I didn't know they had those." Well, that's something from the past, and that's why, being historic and being educational, this is all part of our charter as a nonprofit.
And taking the dining car one step further, when it was originally built, it was built for the New York Central, who used to operate our line. So it's even historically accurate in terms of its location. So,
wow. Speaking of historically accurate, can you talk about the history of the Adirondack Railroad? When did it start? When did it begin?
The line itself was built in a couple different phases, but predominantly it was completed in 1892. The gentleman that built it was Dr. Webb. He owned a camp up on Lake Lila that he called Nahasani. And he felt that a 2-week venture from New York City by a combination of train, stagecoach, boat, whatever means of ground transportation, he felt that 2 weeks to get up to his camp was just a little too long. Yeah. So he, and who wouldn't make this conclusion, he just decided he needed to build a railroad. So
let's remember who his wife was.
Oh yes, she was a Vanderbilt.
Oh, okay.
So
now it makes sense.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. There's a little bit of a connection.
Yeah, you
there,
can't just go building railroads without having some funds behind it.
Yeah. She was, the family of the Vanderbilt Railroad builders. So it was.
Wow.
Yeah, they built that first initial line in basically record time, didn't they?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And we actually, the line obviously geographically is still the same as it was in 1892. We go by Nahasani, which is a little known point, I guess, but we also go by Mount Frederica, which is named after Dr. Webb's daughter.
Huh.
So
Interesting.
There's a lot of history that goes
I
into
love
the
that
line.
stuff. I could talk history all day, and this stuff fascinates me.
One time we were doing just a leaf peeper train, and I was on the leaf peeper train. They were shorthanded for car hosts that day, and I said, well, I'm going to ride the train anyway, so I'll help with boarding and deboarding people. So I'm helping people getting off the train and saying thanks for riding with us, and have a good day, all that stuff. And this group of 4 elderly people got off the train, and they said, we want to thank you. We had such a great trip. By the way, we are descendants of Dr. William Seward Webb. And it was like, wow, that's really significant.
Wow, amazing. Now, that's how they named the town of Webb after him, obviously?
Yeah,
I figured, okay. Interesting, huh? And what kind of doctor was he? Do you know?
I don't.
No?
I don't know either. Something tells me dentist, but I'm not sure if that's right.
Okay.
I would have to look it up, and I'm not going to take that time now.
May Wilcox is on Facebook right now saying, love everything they do. Fingers crossed soon to open up to everything. So, yes, thank you, May.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Hopefully soon. This whole Corona coaster, man. We try not to talk about it because this is something you've talked about every day for a year, right?
Oh, I know.
That word has been out of your mouth at least 5 times a day for at least 365 days a year. For this year, it's ridiculous. So I try not to say too much about it, but it's hard not to. But hopefully you guys can get going and back to full speed again. And of course, you're going to be socially distanced, right? You're going to probably have to cut capacity and whatnot.
Yeah. So we're looking at probably a 50% capacity in each of our passenger cars. So that would include provisions for social distancing. And we would, I don't want to say too much of what we would do because the fact is we don't know. But yes, we are planning on opening up at least our Polar Express event at 50% capacity.
What's a car capacity? What's the capacity in a normal car?
Between 56 and 72 passengers.
Yeah.
You could still get a bunch of people on then.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good.
Oh, yeah. And tickets for Polar Express, even though the trains won't start running till November, they're on sale now.
Oh,
Yes.
wow.
And of course, the rail bike tickets are on sale now. And for COVID safety and on the rail bikes, that's an easy one because they're socially distanced. We don't put you on a rail bike with strangers. It's your family group that gets on a 4, or your group with your friends or whatever. But it's your group that gets on that bike, and the bikes are distant from one another. And we maintain social distancing as you get ready to ride. But once you're on that bike, you're good.
Yeah.
I got to ride that bike. Dave Bandage is giving us some information. Thank you, Dave, for being our fact checker like you always are. William Seward Webb, he studied medicine in Vienna, Paris, and Berlin. Returning to America, he entered Columbia University of Physicians and Surgeons and graduated there in 1875. For several years, he practiced medicine.
I was going to say all that, but I just wasn't sure. I
just couldn't get it out. That's our resident fact checker, Mr. Dave Bandage. So.
Excellent.
That's great. Thank you.
Yes, and if you are on Facebook, I encourage you guys to share this and help spread the word of the Adirondack Railroad. And also, I encourage you guys to make a donation to their GoFundMe. And what's the address on that GoFundMe page?
It's right on the Adirondack RR page. It's right on the front opening page. You'll see the info right there.
Okay, cool. And have people been donating?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
excellent.
And both that way and through previous portal that doesn't go through GoFundMe, but still the donations all go to the same place.
Excellent.
And help us get that locomotive so that we can really get those trains up there. There's not too many hills on that run. There's nothing really steep.
No, the steepest part is going up to Big Moose, both north and southbound. Actually, Big Moose just another little interesting tip. It was the highest point on the entire New York Central Railroad system. So, and makes sense. There's a hill on both sides of it.
Sounds like a fun ride for sure.
Yeah. Oh, that ride from Thandera up. You go through some of these rock cuts. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And I've done those rides, and you have to tell people that want to hang out of the cars and take pictures, and it's like, no, you got to stay back because those are rocks coming along, and we're not going too slow.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a goal for the GoFundMe? What's the number you're trying to reach?
90,000?
Boy,
90,000?
something like 90,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
So get out there, get your checkbooks out there, people. Every little bit helps too. Whether it's, $20, 25, $5,000, it all goes to the same place. So reach into your checkbooks, and if you can help out the Adirondack Railroad, it'd be great. May Wilcox is saying her parents took her to the railroads, and now she takes her grandchildren. So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's cool. I mean, you probably have a lot of that too, family traditions that get carried down.
Yep.
Oh, when you ride Polar, it is just amazing to talk to people who have been on for years and years, have a history of riding Polar with their family, and reading the story, and you see the kids and so on.
Do you have a favorite event that you guys do?
My favorite event has always been Big Surprise, the beer and wine train, but I'm looking forward to anything with the dome car coming up.
Yes.
That should be a load of fun. Leaf peeper trains, just the old forge runs. Some of you who know me know that I have a lot of family in Buffalo and New York City, and they love to come up and ride, especially the leaf peeper and the trains to Old Forge, the trains up to Thandera.
All right, Justin, now it's time for me to pick your brain.
Okay.
We're going to have an on-air meeting. I try not to have these on-air meetings because people love to steal my ideas, but I'm going to do it anyways.
Okay.
I want to do a Festival Express.
All right.
And so what you do is you hop a train, and then you get off at a little depot, and then there's a band playing, and they play for like an hour. And then you eat, drink, whatever, you're having fun. Then you hop back on a train, you go to another depot, and then there's another band playing.
Okay.
And then you hop out, have a good time, dance with your girl, do whatever you got to do. Get back on that train, go to another depot, and then there's another band playing. So you probably pick out like maybe 3 depots or something like that. I don't know. I'd have to pick your brain a little bit more about this, but this is Festival Express, train festival.
How do I get a ticket for that?
How do you get a ticket for that? You come see me. I got the people. I got the ticketing agency if you want to do that. But yeah, this is something that has been on my mind for a couple of years. Have we talked about this before?
A little bit,
I think we have.
Yeah. I don't know. Justin might be too young to have seen that movie, Festival Express.
Which, by the way, you can watch that. I love watching that too. Me too.
I love it.
So back in the 70s, it was like 70, 71, I think it was.
71, yeah.
Yeah, it was The Dead, Janis Joplin, the band, a whole bunch of them. They all took a train throughout Canada. They toured throughout Canada. The promoter of the thing had everybody get on, and they would set up. They'd stop Toronto. They'd stop all along the way, all the way to like Calgary. And they just would hop the train, play a show at some random track, horse track or whatever, and get back on the train, go to the next stop. And in between, when they were on the train rides, was the party.
It was crazy.
It was crazy. But a lot of jam and a lot of great music came out of that, too.
The best scene is with Janis Joplin and Rick Danko.
Just out there chilling. But that's something I would always love to get involved with. Music's my background, and festivals and doing all that, and I would love to do something like that. But maybe down the road we could put something together. And don't anybody steal that idea, damn it.
I'll have to do some of my research on that one because that predates me by about 13 years.
Yeah. I'll have to lend you that video.
Okay.
Actually, if you have like a Fire Stick or something, you could find it.
Okay.
You can find it on the app called Tubi, T-U-B-E, or T-U-B-I. T-U-B-I it is. I just watched it last week, and it was on that app.
I'm so old I have it on DVD.
I do too, somewhere's in the attic, but that's a cool little festival documentary.
It is amazing.
But it was something that I would love to do here locally. There's so many great musicians, and it'd be a great way to showcase all the great local musicians that we have, and a great way to showcase this awesome railroad that we have.
Yep, I agree.
Wonder Twin Powers activate, Justin. Let's do it, brother.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I've got some ideas turning already.
See? See, we'll get together. We'll make this happen. But I think that would be a lot of fun. Just like a runaway train. Now I know they do one in Cooperstown, the Blues Train Express. I've been on that before.
Right.
And that's a cool little train that they got going on up there. With anything you can incorporate with music, I'll be right involved.
Oh, yeah.
So I really love to see you guys get up and rolling, but obviously you got to go gradually.
Yeah.
Because of the precautions and stuff. But I really think by next year, hopefully, knock on wood, that we'll be back and back to full speed, and you guys can do all the great events that you guys normally do.
I would hope the same.
Yeah.
Yep.
And do you guys plan on maybe down the road? I don't know if this has been an idea. Well, you guys been doing it for years, but I don't know if you're going to bring it back with the Loomis train. I wouldn't mind robbing people. So I don't mind being one of the Loomis gang. So that would be a lot of fun if you need any method actors.
One of the problems that we ran into, and one of the things that kind of had to end the thing with the Loomis train, was that the costs of having actors on horses just went through the roof.
I can imagine.
And it was, you'd like to have an event like that, but you don't want to charge people an arm and a leg just to get on and see it. It just got a bit over the top for us.
Yeah, adding more to the cost.
Incidentally, there were no animals harmed during the Loomis gang train robberies.
He had to throw that disclaimer in there.
Yeah.
Smart man. You're
That's
a
right.
smart man. So other future plans. What else you guys got planned?
Really, the bulk of our planning right now, definitely the rail bikes are going to be up and running on May 8th.
Mm-hmm.
So we're looking forward to that. The rest of our planning is primarily the new operation up to Tupper Lake. So that's taking the lion's share of our time right now to develop, but it's going to be great because as we said a couple times now during this podcast that these are parts of the Adirondacks that you can only see if you're on this train.
Yeah.
I suppose you could walk in there if you wanted to, but if you wanted to do it in comfort and possibly have some nice amenities on board, you need to get on the train and take the ride because it's gonna be worth it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Plus it's a way for people that can't get there in other ways to because there's no roads, and everybody doesn't have the capability of hiking in or doing the hiking trails, and even some of these places the hiking trails are scarce.
Mm-hmm.
They're in there, but these rails go back to Dr. Webb's planning back at the beginning of the 20th century, which is pretty amazing.
There is a public highway crossing at Big Moose Station, and then the next public highway crossing is about 40 miles later, just south of Tupper Lake, Gull Pond Road. Huh. So that just to give you an idea as far as access points, there's not many.
Wow.
Yeah, and people don't think that you could, I'll hike along the railroad. No.
No.
That's illegal. First of all, it's illegal trespass, and second of all, it's very dangerous.
Yeah.
Yes.
What's the legal amount of feet you have to be away from the railroad? Is there?
Safe, reasonable, and prudent.
Yeah.
Just
Exactly.
stay away.
Yes.
Pretty much stay away.
Yeah.
Bottom line. Nice, guys. And then also want to encourage again one more time, and thank you to Dave. Bandage is up there promoting you guys. He posted the GoFundMe link, and he also posted your website. So thank you to Dave.
Thanks,
for posting
Dave.
that. And we encourage you guys to go out there and support the Adirondack Railroad on the GoFundMe page for sure.
Thank you.
Anything else you guys like to promote before we get out of here? No.
We're going to just one last reminder that tickets are on sale right now for rail bikes and Polar Express.
Yeah. Cool. I'm coming on the rail bikes this year. I have to do it. It sounds like a lot of fun. Just
definitely.
7-mile hiking.
It's for the first 2 months, it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sundays.
Saturday, Sunday first.
Saturday, Sunday.
Saturday, Sunday first. There's Friday in May though. There are some Fridays in May.
We may, because of demand, we may have opened up some Fridays in May. You're right.
Yeah, because I know people that have tickets for a Friday in May.
Okay.
And then when do they open later during the week in June?
It's the first weekend in July. Starting on that date, we'll go to a full schedule.
Right. Okay.
Yep.
And full schedule is what, 4 trips a day?
4 trips a day.
Yeah. Not 4 rail bikes a day,
Right.
but 4 times that our fleet of rail bikes goes out and comes back.
How many in a fleet?
20.
20?
Yep.
Huh, interesting.
Yeah.
Awesome. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
Do you ride on the rail bikes often, Justin?
Of course.
Do you?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Get your workout in?
Yeah. Try to.
Vin, have you ridden on a...
It's, at my age, I try, but I'm getting in shape. I'll get on there one of these days.
I'll pedal for you.
We'll go on together sometime. I'll ride with you.
Yeah, please. Just bring the tunes, though. We need music.
Oh, of course.
There has to be music. So,
yeah.
Great. Guys, thanks so much for taking time out of your day and join us. Again, if you want to visit the Adirondack Railroad, go to AdirondackRR.com, and you can find the GoFundMe page over there, too, if you're interested in helping these guys out and getting the Adirondack Railroad up and rolling again. So hopefully soon, man.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully soon.
And thanks for having us on, Z.
Yeah,
It's always welcome. Always great to see you again.
Yes, likewise. I love catching up with you. You're the only teacher I keep in touch with. The rest of them cringe when they see me. No, that's not true.
That's not true. Your mother, if you were ever in trouble, you got in trouble at home too.
Exactly.
I remember your mother.
Yeah, she's a tough one. She could still kick my ass. She could still kick my ass. So thanks again. And also thank you to my sponsors, EJA Moving Services, Attorney Dave Longaretta, Utica Coffee, Saranac Brewery, and Joey's at 307. Tomorrow, my guest is Chucky Love. We're going to talk stage production and how much he can be pretty abrasive on stage when he's the stage manager. A lot to talk about with Chucky Love, so make sure you guys check in on that, and you can follow along on all Disruption Network social media platforms, and also go to our website, disruptionnetwork.net. You guys all have yourself a good day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Later.